Welcome to Honda tie rod kit install video. The first place to start in this installation is to familiarize yourself with the instructions. Have a read through the instructions on the first side of the sheet and have a look at the setup table on the back side. Fit the jam nut to the rod end. Then thread the rod end into the turnbuckle. Set the length of the turnbuckle according to the dimension called out in the instructions. You want to measure from the center of the rod end to the end of the turnbuckle. After identifying the spacer configuration that you need from the setup table, start fitting the spacers. In this case, we're fitting one of the small spacers, then inserting the stub into the rod end, followed by the medium spacer and then the thick spacer. But again, you need to check for your vehicle. Followed by the top castle nut. At this stage, we're just doing this by hand. That's now ready to fit to the car. Pull the wheels off. Remove the original tie rod. Start by pulling the split pin out of the lower part of the tie rod. Undo the outer tie rod from the inner tie rod. Undo the castle nut. In our case, we're using a ball joint removal tool. So we're going to thread the castle nut back on so we can use the tool. We really recommend tools like this. They make the job of removing ball joints really easy and safe. Once the taper disengages, remove the tool, take the castle nut off for the final time, and take the original tie rod off. Next step is to fit the supplied steering rack spacers. Remove the inner boot clip, slide the boot off or back, exposing the rack shaft, and then clip the supplied rack spacer to the steering rack shaft. Then reinstall the boot. Thread the Honda adjustable tie rod onto the factory inner tie rod. Insert the stub into the taper of the knuckle. Fit the lower castle nut. Once you've got the lower castle nut fitted, you want to go ahead and use the torque settings that we've provided in the instructions to torque both castle nuts down and then fit the supplied split pins. Then you want to, if you're not aligning the car straight away, you want to lock off the inner jam nut, take the car for an alignment. We recommend using our alignment settings, and the aligner should then set the alignment using the inner tie rod, outer tie rod, and finally lock off the original jam nut.